today was the rule of law. If the law should rule in Nigeria, we will not be, all this restructuring talk, they are actually bywords for several other things that were subsumed beneath restructuring. Restructuring is more of a binary vision result. When the people have looked at where they are, everything appears mad, and then you want to run away from declaring a support for secessionist argument. You start saying, okay, we don't need to break, let's restructure. So there is a third angle that we conveniently ignore in the demand for restructuring, and that angle is that the real demand is actually for equalization. Equalization can only happen where the law rules. If the law does not rule, if impunity reigns, even if you restructure Nigeria and you don't have the law as the anchor upon which everything revolves, you're just wasting time. So yes, restructuring means different things to different people, but the one that is paramount, that must be there, whatever name you call it, even if you leave Nigeria the way it is right now, as badly structured as it is, if the Nigerian state dares to allow the law to rule, I would say that the agitations would even go down significantly. People are shouting, "End SARS, end SARS." The only way you can ever end SARS is if the policeman carrying the gun knows that there will be consequences for the shot that he fires. When he recognizes that the person he is shooting is a citizen in relation to whom he must offer an account, not only to the state, but to the family of the persons that he kills. The only reason the Nigerian police kills with impunity is because he knows that there will be no consequences. The state is structured to protect the rulers. As long as it doesn't kill a member of the ruling class or one of their children or sympathizers or somebody a worthy, even when worthies are killed, sometimes nothing happens. So the centrality of citizenship, the rule of law, these are central issues. They are core issues that are subsumed beneath the demand for a restructuring of Nigeria. It is the binary vision that sometimes allows those things to get hidden underneath and get lost in the noise of the arguments that we raise. Equalize citizenship, let the law rules, restructuring becomes a byproduct.
So who is to address these fundamental issues that you've just stated? I read a comment by Alhaji Tanko Yakasai saying that people should not direct their ire at President Buhari, that it has to be directed at the National Assembly and it's up to them to legislate. Where do you place the ball, in whose court?
You see, I have no faith in the capacity of either President Buhari or the National Assembly particularly. I even think that it is a little simplistic and particularly idiotic for anyone who is truly desirous of changing Nigeria to look to the existing structure to, in any way, shape, or form, contribute to the way forward. My own position is that if I am benefiting from a system, and the way the rulers in Nigeria benefit from the system must be clear. Let's be clear. It's not just that they are corrupt. It's not about corruption. It's about the fact that they are divorced from the citizens. And I use the word citizen loosely because in reality we are not citizens. So when you have a situation where the rulers are divorced from the ruled, and you are now asking those who are benefiting from the status quo to lead the reformation, you are asking them to commit class suicide. I actually believe that it is up to those of us who are disadvantaged, oppressed, to organize ourselves. Demands cannot be made of power, as somebody has said, at a coffee table. Some people went on the street on the 1st of October. Mr. Adesina, who once upon a time said people were irritants, I believe he called them. I hope he was well irritated enough. And that is just the beginning. By the time this system elects to refuse the reformations that are clearly needed, There are further mobilizations of the Nigerian people that are ongoing. And the demand will be placed in the public domain. And we will be calling for marches on the streets of Lagos and every other Nigerian city. We will not be violent. We gain nothing by being violent. It is the state that is perennially violent. And we will continue to ask our people not to be violent. But to expect that the National Assembly, Ndoma Egba, or no, not Ndoma Egba now, the mace snatcher was the one that was issuing some circular a few weeks ago calling for memorandum to be submitted. How do you expect to persuade ravenous wolves to become vegetarians and then help you, just give you some, so please, we know that you are the ones who are enjoying the nation, so we want you to help us to restructure it, just losing our rope a little. How? It's not going to happen. They will never give us what we want. It's not in their interest. But it is in our own interest to clearly identify what we want, sell that to the Nigerian people, and then mobilize the Nigerian people behind what we have presented to them. Several people have presented different things. It is time for the Nigerian people themselves to sit down, aggregate, and we are currently talking to ourselves. There has to be an aggregation and there has to be an adoption. If we have a central platform from where we can engage the Nigerian people, it becomes easier to make these demands. But to ask that we wait for the beneficiaries to be the ones to initiate the changes is a waste of time. Nothing good will come out of it.
Okay. If you heard the president's speech, I'm sure you did.
I didn't bother. It's a waste of time.
Okay, on the first of, so I'm going to quote.
It's a waste of time.
I'm going to quote from the speech. The president talked about the fault lines in this country, and talked about it in such a way that what really ties us together are more than these fault lines. You know, these fault lines might be fault lines whipped up by a lot of other people because of their grievances of some sort. I mean, what's your take on all these fault lines? And do you believe that these fault lines...
Let me say this to you. I was talking to a friend driving here this morning. He sells cars. And he was sharing his experience with me. If you're going to the northern part of Nigeria from Lagos, between Lagos and Lokoja, there are 40 custom checkpoints. 40. After Lokoja, all the way to Katsina, not one. Between Lagos, hear me again, between Lagos and Lokoja, 40 custom checkpoints. That is within the border of Nigeria. But once you have crossed Lokoja, not one until you will get to Katsina. And we are all in Nigeria. Let's be clear about something. I have never expected that the beneficiary of a crime would in some way turn around undetected and be the one to offer restitution. When you look at the hard facts, and that is a hard fact, it's verifiable. And I'm sure that there are several people who will be able to say whether I'm a liar by the time I am out of your studio this morning. 40 checkpoints, Lagos to Lokoja, Lokoja to Katsina, none. Now tell me, who gains from the destruction of our internal commerce? So it is difficult, very difficult, to begin to wrap one's brains around the inanities that are offered when we begin to point at real issues. That's just one, but it should illustrate a lot for anyone who is willing to look objectively. Nigeria and Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria. The average Nigerian has no problem with his neighbor. But our system is structured in a way, any system that allows what I just described to you cannot be said to be just. In a situation where you enter a government institution and you see the manifest and clear marginalization of vast parts of the same country. What you are seeing is the legitimization of internal colonialism or an apartheid system that we are being asked to legitimize by our silence. Is either you are benefiting from it and you then don't want to talk about it. Why would you want to change what is working for you? But if you are an Igbo man or a Yoruba man or anybody for that matter who has reason to transport your goods from Lagos up north, and you have to contend with the fact that between Lagos and Lokoja you are going to find 40 checkpoints that you will not find one after Lokoja, then tell me, how do you explain to such a person that he has no need to be demanding a restructuring? He will demand that restructuring because he knows that if Nigeria is restructured, he will not see those custom checkpoints on the road. Meanwhile, he's a businessman. The only reason he's talking restructuring is because he wants equalization. So beneath restructuring, you find a whole lot of things that are hidden. A lot of grievances are hidden underneath the demand for restructuring. So when we refer to the, and it's a truism, Nigerians don't have problems with themselves. Allowed a level playing field, the average Nigerian is happy to be here. Next 60 years, forget about it. The next 600 years, we want to be here. I could have left Nigeria, but I haven't left. I'm here because I believe in Nigeria, and so do a lot of other people. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. Nobody really cares for these tags. If you are demanding that racism should end, Black Lives Matter, how do you really find the moral standpoint to speak about Black Lives Mattering if Ijaw life does not matter to you, Igbo life does not matter to you, Fulani life does not matter to you, Hausa life does not matter to you? The people being slaughtered in southern Kaduna, they are human beings. The people being killed in Katsina, they are human beings. People losing their lives every day in different parts of Nigeria where the state has failed woefully, they are human beings, they are Nigerians, they are suffering. So when we talk about the fact that Nigerians we are united, yes, we are united. It is the system and our rulers that are dividing us. They profit from those divisions. They profit by it. And when you are demanding restructuring, remember, the demand for restructuring is just a cover for several grievances. People are in pain. Interactions with the Nigerian state occasions pain. Fela sang about it. He called it country of pain. Why must our country be a country of pain? Why must all our interactions with the Nigerian state instinctively inflict pain on us? How do you rationalize a situation? Hear that madness. 40 checkpoints to Lokoja, none after Lokoja. If you are in the business of moving goods up and down Nigeria, that is a reality you live with on a daily basis. I heard it this morning and I was shocked to the marrow. But the person whose reality exists with that madness on a daily basis, how do you demand patriotism from him? How do you look him in the eye and tell him that he's unpatriotic for saying that Nigeria should be restructured? What do you want him to do? Carry a gun and start demanding a secession? So against restructuring, that is why President Buhari, General Buhari will be talking about unpatriotism. What is unpatriotism? Who is more unpatriotic than the person who will take money to build a rail line to Maradi when you have children, over 14 million of them walking on the street, and then is building a rail line, 1.9 billion or something like that to Maradi. They are spending 36 billion or thereabout to renovate the National Assembly. Who is more unpatriotic? Patriotism should not be equalized with slavish support for stupid leaders whose only interest is to enslave the people. They are enslaving us. So to now be demanding, how can you ask me to be patriotic when you are busy decimating the future of my children whilst I'm still alive? So let's be clear.